Teachers in Britain claim the government's violating the basic values of education under guidelines aimed at combating terrorism now. They claim free debate is being shut down in schools because teachers are being forced now to spy on teenagers during classroom discussions and then to take action if they don't like what they hear.
There was a case of a boy who'd been taking part in a debate about ISIS, and he was arguing vehemently against people going to join ISIS, and his laptop was later seized. And the head teacher monitored his laptop, went through his laptop and said, there's evidence of you visiting certain jihadi websites. And the boy said, well, yeah, of course, because how can I argue against something if I don't know what it is?
New counter-terror laws are designed, then, to prevent the rise in the number of young Britons sympathising with radical Islamists. We've heard a lot of it so much lately. One teacher says she and her colleagues are expected to be now, quote, frontline stormtroopers who listen to, spy on and then report on students who voice opinions that could be deemed extreme. Pupils also tend to stay silent, it seems as well, in any debate over fear of being reported by for radical views now. Lecturer Simon Mayburn spoke to us earlier on. He says the government's concerns are indeed fair, but he thinks they're being dealt with in the wrong way here.
Teachers are incredibly unhappy about the pressure on them to do this. Many of them aren't trained in any of these areas. It's incredibly difficult to actually engage with definitions of extremism, counter-extremism, terrorism. They're very subjective terms that are defined by political agendas.
Well, I'm very pleased to say we're now joined by a former British ambassador to Syria, Peter Ford. Mr. Ford, good evening to you. Hi there. I'm often back in Britain myself. We hear time and again the worrying stories that come out of boys, girls, young people who have gone over there to fight. The UK government's trying to combat the terror threat at home, but judging by your recent articles, you think it needs to do a better job. How much of a better job?
Absolutely. What we see now are chickens coming home to roost. The Cameron government for 3 or 4 years has been calling for the overthrow of the secular Syrian government. It's hardly surprising if young British Muslims have taken that at face value and gone out there to fight and bring about the downthrow of the Syrian government. But this is a totally wrong-headed policy. From the outset of the struggle in Syria, Cameron has got it completely wrong. From the outset, he called for the overthrow of the government, predicted that the overthrow was imminent, got all this completely wrong, almost took Britain into a bombing war against Syria. This man is a serial bungler.
It's estimated that some 500 Britons thus far, male and female, have gone abroad to fight for ISIL. What's driving them to leave their homes in the UK and join the bloodbath in the Middle East? I mean, the UK is not such a bad place to live. I know from experience myself. They're often called radicalised. End of the day, though, what is making them go over there and do this, on top of what you just said?
Well, I think there are many factors, not all of which are easy to explain without getting into the minds of these young people, but I think essentially it's like a cult. They have been brainwashed on social media and YouTube, other media. They don't know what they're getting into. And like I say, they were given tacit encouragement or implicit encouragement by the British government, which to this day is still calling for the overthrow of the secular government. Who do they think will take the place of this government, if not an extremist Islamist government?
Well, picking up on what you're saying there, the UK is indeed planning to train what the West calls, anyway, moderate opposition forces in Syria. We've often questioned that term here on this channel. Is there not a danger that that strategy could backfire, as it did before, you know, with the rebels joining ISIL?
Well, the chances of Democrats or moderates in Syria are like the chances of snowflakes in hell, 0. The only powerful forces ranged against the Syrian government are the extremist Islamists, ISIL, and the like-minded. And as long as Western governments and some regional allies are trying to hamper and hamstring the Syrian government, then I'm afraid this conflict will continue and continue to act as a magnet to young people in Britain and elsewhere.
Peter Ford, former British ambassador to Syria. Pleasure to have you on the programme, sir. Thank you for your time.